Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's Pastor Bramick. Today is Thursday. It's October the 10th. It's time for our daily devotion. We are continuing to look at Psalm chapter 4, and today we're going to talk about food. So I want to direct your attention to verse 7 of our psalm of study. You have filled my heart with greater joy than when their grain and new wine abound. All right, and so we always want to take note whenever we see a reference to food in especially the Old Testament, because so much of their life was revolved around food, preparation, harvest, planting, sowing, processing, storing. And all of this is tied into the land of Israel, right? God is giving them this land. It's known as the land of milk and honey. So even from the outset, their relationship with God is known as one where He is providing them with the land in order to sustain them physically, to give them their lives, basically. And, when the land produces, life in Israel is good. When it does not produce, life in Israel is very bad, and a lot of death comes around. So there were a couple of major harvest times during the year, and one was like the wheat harvest, and this would have been in the months of, I think, around May. And then there was also like the harvest of certain fruits, grapes and figs and things like that. And they would have been grown over the summer, and then harvested right around now in late September, early October. And there was, there was a couple other harvest times. But those two harvest times in particular actually had specific names to them because they were a big deal, right? You got your grain, which was the staple of food in the Middle East. And then you got your grapes, which could produce wine, which was very nourishing, and it could be stored for a period of time. For the grape juice folks, I'm sorry, but you just can't stop the wine from fermenting without refrigeration, and we don't have that back then. So the way that you really make your grape juice last, so to speak, is to store it fermented, which is what would happen naturally to the grape juice right after it was squeezed out from the grape, right? Because the grapes, as soon as they're picked off of the vine, they're going to start to ripen. And then, when you squeeze them, then, they start to ferment, okay? And so you need to store that. And at the end of these harvest times, it was a very joyous spectacle for Israel to have a celebration. The harvesting was done, the hard work, the work in the fields, the work treading the grapes, the work, taking the sickle to the stalks of wheat. I mean, that was very labor intensive. It was long days. You needed to harvest your food at a certain time, and everybody needed to be doing this. So Israel was an agricultural society, and people were involved in this. And when you finished the harvest, you had like a harvest party or festival. So the festival for the wheat was known as Shavuot. And for the grapes, it was known as Sukkoth. And these also doubled as other festivals. So we're talking, let's see. I want to say everything in Israel in the Old Testament has multiple names. But one of them was about celebrating their time also journeying through Egypt, and living in these temporary shelters or booths. And then the other one was about the reception of the law. So I think the bread one was about the reception of the law on Mount Sinai. And then the Sukkoth, the summer harvest, was about also living in tents and shelters. And they still have these types of celebrations today where they make and invent little temporary shelters, and they eat certain foods around these times. And it's always to remember what God did, His action of deliverance, right? And then as Christians, we so wonderfully take the wheat, of course, and we think about it as the Lord's body with communion, and then the wine, of course, with the Lord's blood. So these two festivals really nicely tie into the way that we worship. and the things that we talk about as being important in worship. And of course, they also relate to God's deliverance, right? Jesus talking about giving his body, giving his blood, the bread, the wine, which we understand as being taken for the forgiveness of sins, and the affirmation of the new covenant, and the eschatological dimension of looking ahead to celebrating communion in heaven, as Jesus also talks to his disciples about. So all of this is very important, and David is excited at the end of his psalm, in Psalm 4, to be praising God, saying that his life with God is better than even the joy that he feels at the harvest time. So that's how we rightfully understand the end of this psalm. Okay, let's continue now with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you, and give you his peace. Amen. Okay, announcements for today. We are having Grief Share tonight here at Holy Shepherd at 7 p.m. This Saturday, Sprouts is restarting, 10 a.m. Saturday morning. So you're invited to bring your, around preschool age, early elementary school age child up to Holy Shepherd. And two of our preschool teachers and church members will be organizing Sprouts for the kids. And let's see, we also this weekend, this Sunday, we have a church council meeting after church, after service, and we have our pot blessing. So please bring a dish to share this coming Sunday as we fellowship together. There is no youth confirmation this coming Sunday night, and there is no adult instruction this coming Monday night. But we will resume those things the following week. Okay, that's it for today. God bless you. Thank you for watching. Keep reading the Psalms, especially Psalm 4 this week. I'm looking forward to sharing Psalm 5 with you this coming Sunday. God bless.